Hello and welcome to 4000 Accounting. I am Watty and Mark is back joining me for an interview today, and we are welcoming back Mr. Kevin Tansey for round two. He is rocking the Tansey Smash hoodie, which we love to see. Kev, we spoke to you just before you became, well, you signed for Sheffield Steelers, but just before you kind of played games and got stuck in. What a successful year that turned out to be. Three trophies. What a journey.
Yeah, that was not probably. It was definitely the most fun I've had playing hockey. When you win that much in a season, it's what you want to play for, right? Having eight losses all year, scoring that many goals as a team, just really having our way with people last season was a lot of fun in so many ways. Just the group of guys that we had too was a tight knit group, like all the way through. So it was definitely a ton of fun.
Which which trophy meant the most? Because I know we spoke off air, and I'm pretty certain that we actually spoke in round one about the playoff format and stuff. Obviously, all of us sitting on this call right now would love to see playoff series. That's no lie. Um, but you get to win the cup, you get to win the league, and then you get to win the playoffs last year. Which one felt the best? Which one felt like the hardest to earn?
Um, I would say that the one that felt the best was the playoff one, just because that completed the treble. Um, that altogether just felt awesome. Like we won everything there was to win. So that was the best feeling overall. The Challenge Cup was probably the least because it was, I mean, it's an in-season tournament that the system isn't, quite there, I don't think, in terms of how who team like the it switches all the time in terms of divisions and stuff like that. And it's just sort of some of those games you're just like, God, we play Manchester again. God, we play Nottingham again. We play these
For
guys
the
again. Like,
12th time in like 3 weeks.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Like
So that
fuck.
that one was it was good to win because it was the first one to get. Um, and that was cool to see the packed arena. Having that at home was cool. And then I think obviously the hardest one to win was the season because like we were talking earlier, is every game is a playoff game there. So that's sort of the good and the bad about it. I mean, I love playing hard every single game, but I also love a 7 game series. So it was pretty cool to have that go your way when you win so many games in the regular season, and then I guess you don't really have to worry about the playoffs. But the playoffs is another trophy, I guess. But yeah, definitely the harder one to win.
Looking at your season last year, 54 games, 91 points, 39 wins, six overtime wins, eight eight regulation losses, and one overtime and shootout loss. You scored 228 goals whilst only conceding 113. Just a fucking sick
Wow.
joke of a team.
Yeah, it was crazy last year. Like we just gelled so well, and everybody stayed healthy all season too. We were all buddies. We all laughed together. We all hung out together, and it was just such a tight knit group and a lot of skill on the team too. We had a little bit of everything, which really helped out. Obviously backed by our I think the best goalie in the league in Greener,
Stud.
and the best captain in the league in Doughty.
Yeah.
Having that combination and guys that you can really depend on and lead, that with us being an older team last year too, where like pretty much all of us were at least 28, 29 or older. A lot of veteran presence where it was just like every player was a leader. And within that leadership group, there were leaders that were able to be followers and just kind of like put their ego to a side and be like, all right, we're a wagon. I'm not going to be the first line guy who gets 60 points this year. I'm going to be a third line guy who's going to shut down the 60-point guy this year. And guys just accepted that. And that doesn't happen a lot in hockey, where guys can just put their ego to the side and play for each other and play for the bigger purpose of the team.
Yeah, shout out Mr. Robert Brian Dowd. His
Yeah.
new Facebook New
Yeah.
Facebook,
55 million followers or
five
whatever.
point five million followers.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go on
it's
the
impressive.
Brian. Love that. Yeah, if you haven't already, ladies and gents, please go and report the fake Dowdy profile. Like he's sliding into people's fucking DMs and shit. It's not cool. But yeah, like Dowdy is a stud. Obviously, I think a big part of the reason you guys aren't sitting at the top of the tree again this year, Dowdy's missed like 13, 14 games this year.
Yeah, I mean,
That
he's
hurts.
a great leader for our team, and the fact of the matter is that like he plays hockey like 10 and a half months a year, if not more than that. Like
GB,
they
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like he left the playoffs last year after like I think they had like 2 days after the playoffs, they all shipped out to GB, and I'm not saying that there's not three or four GB players on all the top teams in this league because there are, but when you get to the end of your career, the later years of your career, that stuff starts to take a toll on you, and you need to take some time. But he's proud to play for his country. He's the captain of Team GB. He's just an all around stud. So I mean, can't blame him for going. You want him to be able
Yeah.
to help grow GB hockey, which I think he's had a big part in doing. Is kids look up to him. You go to any one of our games, you see at least 250 Dowd jerseys, if not more. You go to any games that we play in on the road, it can be in Fife, it can be the furthest team from us, and you see at least one Dowdy jersey. Like he's just a larger than life person in GB hockey, but at the same time, he's the most humble guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah, he's great, dude. It's
Yeah.
interesting you talked about him, playing 10 months a year and, three, four other boys per team doing the same. They're not all doing the same though, because Dowdy's playing in every situation for the Sheffield Steelers and he's playing in every situation for GB. Whereas, if you're a role guy, you're not playing PP, you're not playing penalty kill or maybe as much or whatever it may be for club or for country. But you're playing regular minutes. Dowdy's like he's fucking jack of all trades. He's still dropping
Yeah.
the mitts, still dropping the mitts as well. I don't know when you import boys are going to learn that Dowdy can chuck nuts. All these new guys come to the country and they're like, yeah, let's fight this fucking Dow guy. He's a goal scorer. Yeah, he can throw hands too, by the way.
Yeah.
But no one seems to
I
get the memo. I don't
have not
understand
seen him lose yet, that's for sure. He's
because he's
he's a
like
jack of
this.
all trades. Yeah, he's a jack of all trades. He's just like a true bloke. He knows how to hit, knows how to score, knows how to fight. The only thing he doesn't know how to do is how to turn it off. And he just he's going 100 miles an hour every time, whether he's running at 100%, which is rare, or running at 25%. And he just plays the exact same way every time.
You just said the bloke there. I wanted to ask, where did the road blokes come from?
Love that.
um, I don't know exactly where it came from. I think I think it was Shoods. Shudra was tossing around just like we're blokes out there, and maybe an interview or like a post game thing, and it just kind of caught like wildfire. Like we said it once, and then the Twitter world got a hold of it, and then that's where it came from. Yeah, I don't know exactly where it started, but it was probably Shudra.
He's a good lad.
Yeah.
You touched on Greener being the best goalie in the league, and you're not going to hear any argument from me. I don't think you'll hear any argument from a lot of people within the EIHL community. What's it like having that guy backstopping you? Obviously, last year you go on and win the trophies, but he's still there this year. He's still putting in good performances, and yeah, he's so, so good.
You know that you're always sitting at a higher than 50% chance of winning the game with him in the net because you know that on any given night you've got the best goalie in the league. There's definitely a couple goalies in the league that are pretty close to him, but in my opinion, he if he has a night off, it's like a rebound doesn't go in the right place. It's not like he lets a shit goal in. Like that doesn't happen for him. I think he's an incredible goalie. And his Champions League play this year was insane. Really, one of those things where obviously being in Sheffield myself next year as well. You hope to have him for the team next year, but at the same time, you hope the best for him, and it's at the point where I would be very surprised if he doesn't get a very good offer somewhere else. I mean, he's an
Mainland
elite
Europe.
goaltender. Yeah, I mean, what he did in the Champions League was insane.
Solid, yeah.
Oh
I've
man,
got
he
it here.
was
I've got it here, Kev. So 7 games, 438 minutes, 224 saves, 92.56 save percentage,
so good, man.
302, 302 goals against, 18 goals against overall, goals against average, shutout zero, but like, yeah, so he has a winning record. He's over 92.5%. Uh, yeah, he's just a fucking joke.
Lights out.
Yeah, he's an elite goaltender. There's no other way to put it.
And that is hard thing about this league. You get a guy in like that, and he performs like that. Ultimately, there is that option of losing them, and I think the fans would be disappointed. But I think more and more now, with how much like knowledge the UK fans are starting to get on European hockey, like we always do our bit to promote mainland Europe hockey because like you've been there long enough, you know what it's like. It's fucking awesome thing to be a part of. And financially, you're more likely to be well compensated if he was to leave and go to the Dell, he's probably going to be on a damn sight better contract. If he leaves and goes to a top league in Sweden, he's going to have a better contract. And hopefully, this is a job for you guys, right? So
Yeah,
if you can go out and make an extra 40,000, 50,000 euros a year, that's big money. Like there's a big difference.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I try to help the young guys out as much as I can because at my stage of my career, I don't think I'm going to go anywhere else, rather unless if it's go to a league at the end of my career and just try to have fun and live somewhere beautiful kind of thing where it's not really about making money or winning. It's just about
Yeah.
going to play. But I talked to a lot of the guys that are younger and are starting to get offers from like other leagues or like talking to their agent about other leagues, and they're not necessarily seeing the money, but with my experience in playing, and I think I've played in 6 leagues over here, and just kind of seeing what the level is here, what the level is there, what the pay is there, which teams to go to, which ones to stay away from. Guys are seeing contracts that aren't necessarily that much higher at the beginning because, which I think is insane because I don't think this is a prove it league anymore. Even the difference between last year and this year, the quality's gone up. Um, I, I honestly, I came to this league thinking that it was going to be easy, and I thought I was going to be a point per game player, and I was very wrong. It's a tough league, it's a hard league. Um, Champini, had told me because he was obviously here the year before I got here. He had told me that it was, a pretty good league, but it got even better 3 years ago to last year, kind of thing. So like every year, it's gotten incrementally bigger. So I think it's going to soon start getting the respect that it deserves if guys can just change teams for a salary that can go up right away. But what I'm trying to explain to them is that you go to the Austrian league and you go and make 40,000 there. I'm telling some of these players, I won't name them, but some of these players, well, you could go to that league and you'll be a top 10 forward in that league, and you might have to bite it and make 40 for a year, but once you put up a point per game in that year, they'll offer you 80, 90 kind of thing, and on
Yeah.
the good teams. And that's just sort of the pathway for these young guys that kind of have to take it because it's not like they're sending scouts over here to watch or anything. They look at your
No.
elite prospects, they look at, the chats about how good each league is, and I honestly think that this league just doesn't get enough recognition for how good and how tough it is.
Do you do you think excuse me, do you think the Sheffield Steelers run within the Champions Hockey League is going to put more respect on the EIHL name?
Yeah, I think it definitely will. It's like I just said, it's a great league. Another thing that is very beneficial for North Americans coming over here. And I honestly had forgotten about how easy it was and how nice it was just having an English first language. Um, it just the little things that you don't even think about going to the grocery store and having to pull out Google Maps for the first 2 months until you, or not Google Maps, Google Translate for the first 2 months until you figure out what everything is there. Obviously, that you can tell where your vegetables are, but like stuff that is just all in in Czech or in Slovakian or in Danish, you're just like, all right, I'm at the grocery store for I'm doing 100 quid shop here, but I'm here for 2.5 hours just because I don't know what anything is.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, right? Like trying to go to a restaurant and ordering something and the wrong thing comes out, or when I was in Znojmo, which was like a really small
Nice
town. It
place.
was yeah, it's a nice place, but there's no English there. Like there is no English there. Like our coaches didn't speak English, our GM didn't speak English. Like it was
Brutal.
they would go like they would explain the whole drill on the ice in Czech, and then the coach would turn to us and like there was 3 or 4 North Americans. The coach would turn to us and just go, "Good," and we'd be like, "Yeah, man,
Yeah,
well,
sure, sure. Yeah,
we'll
let's go.
figure it out." But yeah, like when I first got there, that was my first place I went in Europe, and I was all pumped up, and I was there alone. I was single at the time, and it was all right. I'm gonna go grab something to eat. I'm gonna go find a nice dinner somewhere. I must have gone to like 8 restaurants, and people were just shaking their heads at me because I couldn't speak Czech, and they were just like, "No, no." I was like, English menu," and they're like, "No," and they just turned me away, and I was just like, "I'm not gonna be able to eat here." So it's just stuff like that it seems small. It's a cool culture experience. It's definitely a culture shock that you get into other countries, but once you've been there and done that a few different places like I have, it's nice to just come back to a place where you can talk to everybody and there's no language barrier.
Do you find that with having like the comfort of having the language being spoke of English, do you find that it can like it settles you in faster, so it makes you perform better?
Yeah, I mean,
I
I,
don't know if it's like a performance thing, like where it would like improve, but what I mean is more like the settling in, and also for the other guys that are English speaking, moving to another country, and you can bed in faster and just feel at home quicker without having to like have any worries on your mind to perform.
yeah, I never really thought about it like that, but I mean, it makes sense. It's you don't have to even so much as you're learning guys' names that are Robert and Cole and Brandon as like the guys who are from the home country. It's not Zabinajad and
Yeah,
McCulloch
yeah.
and all these names that you're just not used to. So you're like, yeah, I have to meet 15 new people and I have never heard these names before. So like that on top of everything and top, I mean, yeah, definitely. I'm sure it does have an aspect of playing better, but in these other countries, well, at least some of the countries that I've played in, there's a lot more cutthroatedness in terms of like if you're not playing right away, like if you're not good right away, they'll just send you home. Like in Slovakia and Czech, it's like if you
Yeah.
don't perform in the first month, they'll just say, "Oh, visa didn't work out. See you later." Like they won't tell you you're cut. They'll just say, "The visa didn't work out." I'd be like, "Well, I actually did the visa this summer and I have it in my passport." So like that's not it. You just tell me I'm cut. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it definitely has an impact for you.
Outside of Sheffield, you've played in Innsbruck, you've played in Kasice, you've played in Brno, Heron Blue Fox. Where was your favorite spot in Europe?
Uh, Tough to say. I feel like I feel like it's like an asterisk for me because most of my career through Europe was in COVID, so I didn't really get to experience
Right, yeah.
the full effect of it. But I mean, Innsbruck was incredible as a city. Like living there was like full COVID, like no fans all year long, and I couldn't have been in a better spot for that in terms of like living and not being depressed and wanting to friggin' just hang them up and not do anything. It was just you lived in a postcard, so that was incredible. It sucks that the whole city was closed, but I could walk 15 minutes and I'd be at the bottom of a mountain kind of thing. So
Yeah,
that
nice.
kind of stuff was really cool for me. In terms of in terms of being a really cool spot, um, Denmark was not necessarily the city itself, but the people in Denmark are just like the friendliest people I've
Yeah, I
ever
agree.
met in my life. Like it's they have just such a like let it be attitude. Like it's like everything will be okay. I swear like someone's family could like their house could get struck by lightning and their whole family dies and they're the only survivors and they'll just be like, well, the sun will rise tomorrow, and you're just like, man, like how are you so happy?
Yeah.
and it's contagious, right? Like it's pretty. It was a pretty cool place to go there, and then obviously the fans in Košice and Brno were pretty insane. There was definitely like that. It would have been. I think it would have been cooler in Brno if we were better when I was there because we got the
Right.
side of the fans that didn't like us very much because we weren't very good. But
Oh yeah,
well,
they
maybe
don't
not.
fuck around, do they?
No, it was yeah. It was
Right.
there was one game when we were like an underperforming team. I think we had like the second or third biggest budget in the league, and we were kind of second or third last place team to make the playoffs. So sort of like seventh or eighth place, and we were playing the last place team one game at home, and they were pounding us. We were losing like 5-1. And the last 5 minutes of the game took 45 minutes to play because every time the puck dropped, they just threw garbage on the ice. And it was like every fan came with a bag of garbage and planning for us to lose this game and be like, we're just gonna make this last forever. Like, and I'm not just saying like there was like three cans of beers on the ice. It was like there was 100 cans of beer and toilet paper every time the puck dropped for the last 5 minutes of the game. It was insane. Like it was like the play would go on for 3 seconds and then just garbage, 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 garbage. Take 5-10 minutes to clean up. Puck drops, garbage, 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 garbage. We finished that game at like 10:45 at night or something. Like it was wild.
Is Brno the best atmosphere that you've experienced in hockey?
Um, as a home team or just in
Yes.
general? Yeah. I played some pretty cool games in college. Um, Played some pretty cool games in college, and trying to think. Again, Bruno was like we didn't get the full experience of Bruno because it was still COVID, so we were allowed like 3,000 fans, but it was pretty crazy when we were there. It definitely felt like more than 3,000 fans. Um, yeah, it probably was the craziest place.
Mark, the game me and you went to, what was that, like six, seven?
Yeah, the full house most games. Yeah, 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they sell out. They sell out like every
It's
game,
fucking
but
legit.
we just yeah,
Yeah,
we just couldn't get it because of I think we yeah, I don't know if I played in front of a full rink there. I think
No,
they let full rinks back in like after the first round and we got eliminated in the first round.
that was a cool experience. So like Bruno, like the way the fans just they're just full on from like the minute you step in the
Yeah.
arena,
Yeah.
right the way on non-stop.
Well, that's how
You
it's like
obviously
in
sorry,
Germany
man.
too. Like when we played Champions League against Berlin this year, like that Germany game
oh,
was
they're
like
mad.
couldn't hear anybody at any point in the game. It was just cheering the whole time. I couldn't hear a single thing the entire game. It was wild. So cool.
I went to two games in Berlin last year, and obviously Kirky's playing from this year, so I'm going back out in like 3 weeks, going to watch two games. Like the second time I went, I stood the first game we went to last year. Like we paid for expensive seats. We sat in like the nice fucking comfy seats, only because we couldn't get in the fan curve. There was no tickets. But for the second game, we got in the fan curve and we stood right in there. Honestly, it's fucking so much fun.
Yeah,
Like
you
it's
probably
wild.
probably lost like 3 kilos just being standing and jumping all game. Like, yeah,
It's non-stop.
yeah,
So much fun. And obviously that there was a bit of like banter going back and forward between the Steelers fans and the Berlin fans. And actually, I think the Berlin fans were getting cussed out a little bit on the Orange Army. And I was like, I don't understand why, because like when I was there and I stood in amongst it, although it's loud and it's it's like it's a happy vibe. It's a good it's a good place to hang out. No one was like it's not football hooligan vibe. It wasn't that kind of thing. Like it was just people having a good time, loving their team, chanting. They were trying to teach me chants in German and shit. Like it was, and like it's good beer. I mean, they were probably telling me to fucking say anything. I don't know, I was having a good time anyway. And I thought you boys you did very well in the Champions League, and it's awesome that you get to experience like playing in a rink like Berlin because it's a really cool arena.
Yeah, I mean, we like obviously we didn't play in their main arena, the Mercedes Center, but I think it was
Oh,
almost
did you not?
no, we played in
That's
the
playing the other.
yeah, they played in their Champions League. They have like their practice facility where they I think that was where they played
That
like
was their
maybe
old
10
arena.
yeah, like 10 years ago or something before the Mercedes. I don't know when the Mercedes was built, but
Is that
obviously
where the
it's fairly
U20s play
new.
out of, Mark? That I went to last year?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, like
it's quite a
it's
big
like a
Kind of like
arena.
farm.
old and wooden and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
fucking sick though. Like
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I think it was cooler to play in there than it would be to just, I mean, state of the art arenas are cool and everything, but for the atmosphere and stuff, it was just crazy.
I watched the Berlin U20s last year because of something that we're going to come on to actually right after this because it kind of ties in lovely. Going out there, I'm trying to see two games in 3 days because it's Friday, Sunday, which meant down day on Saturday, and the U20s. Like the standard of the U20s in Germany is so good. There's so many good kids, and then just chipping away, and then you'll start seeing them break in. And the way the system works there for producing talent is it's been proven the last 20 years here. Like to if you look at like Leon Draisaitl, he's like one of the biggest superstars on the planet. Germany are doing the right things, and I think it's something the UK model could try and follow suit. And we've got a couple of boys that have played over there and talk about like how important it is in like each club's youth system and bringing the guys through, getting them to that U20s where even if you get three or four guys that are good enough to go up to the main team, that's a lot less recruiting you have to do if you can get proper talent all the way through. You've played college, you've seen guys come through the coast and the A. What do you think the biggest thing for getting like 18, 19, 20-year-old guys ready for men's hockey is?
I mean, it's tough to say because it doesn't, I think it goes back way further than 18, 19, 20. I think it goes back to, I mean, it takes time to develop high levels of anything, and it's not just like football, right? Where you can play football anywhere. All you need is a ball and you can practice juggling. Like hockey is like you need ice in the summers, that's money. You need coaches in the summers, that's money. You need equipment, that's money. You need more rinks, more facilities, more knowledge, about the game where that doesn't just happen overnight. Unfortunately, because it's a long process of getting that and making it more popular. I think that the way that this league is going is definitely going to help it. Um, I think the relationships that teams like the Steelers and the Steel Dogs have.
Yeah,
I think that
massive.
that will be a pretty cool thing for other teams to kind of hop on with. I mean, I don't really know too much about the league below us, but if there's teams that are close to teams in our league, then I don't see why they wouldn't make a deal of two-way contracts in that sense. Because it's a feeder system. You can have guys play games down there and hop up when they need to, or like in our case, like all of our two-way guys practice with us pretty much every day. And they learn from us. They learn from just the way that we practice, the way that we hold ourselves, because you learn. Like I didn't learn how to be a good professional hockey player, like full on good pro, not just a good hockey player, like a good professional athlete, and like what it takes until I was honestly probably 26, 27. You get to the age where you're 18, 19, you start making money finally, and you just think I'm a stud. Like, I'm indestructible. Like, where are all the girls, where are all the beers kind of thing. And, you learn that you can be as talented as you want. Um, But if you're not a team player, cohesive part of something bigger than you, then you're only going to have so much value. And that's something that you learn through systems like the Steel Dogs and the Steelers have, where you have Finner can watch Robert Dowd every day, and how he holds himself, and how if he's not on the power play one day and Foxy tells him, hey, you're not on the power play, and a guy like Rob just goes, all right, you know what, it's best for the team if I'm not on the power play right now, and just how to hold yourself. And that's something that's ingrained younger than you are 16 to 17 or 18. Like, if you can learn that young, and you get good coaches and good facilities out here, then definitely I think the UK could have a lot of it. But again, it comes back to money, and it comes back to time, and that's something that unfortunately doesn't just happen overnight.
I kind of alluded a little bit there. We were going to get to the Friday, Sunday. Former podcast guest Nat Halbert put a tweet out last week, and he believes one of the things that's holding the Elite League back from competing with some of these bigger leagues in Europe is the fact that it's for the most part of the year it's Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. You got midweeks chucked in. You're playing Saturday, Sunday. You're playing back to back, or you're playing Friday, Saturday. Whereas most, if not all, of mainland Europe is Friday, Sunday. You have that day of rest in between. If you need to travel a day early, if you need to stay in bed a little bit longer, you want to recover a little bit more, you want to get a practice in between, however your club wants to do it. There's so many different options. As a player that's played in Slovakia, in Czech, in Austria, in Denmark, now coming to these shores and having to do the schedule that you do in the UK with the back-to-back games, would you like to see it potentially look at switching to a Friday, Sunday? And one other kind of little add-on, being within the UK, we're fucking football crazy. Let's have it right. And most football games are on a Saturday. We're
Yep.
competing with football every fucking week, which is suicide for any sport in the UK. Everybody's going to go and watch football. It's going to be their first love. Like, do you think we could benefit not only from better play because the guys are more rested, but also better attendances because we're not competing with all these massive football clubs on a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I mean, Friday, Sunday games, when we have those in the schedule, is the dream. You get the day off in between after a game. If you have a practice on Saturday, your practice is usually at like noon, so you get to sleep in after a game, get the rest you need. Another thing that I think is keeping people away from this league is the fact that we play so many games. Like, we play. I think if you go all the way, we play like, I think we played like 74 games last year, um, something like that. Like, it was in the 70s, and you look at the Austrian league, you look at any of those leagues. You have 50 regular season games, and then after that it's playoffs. Or some of them you don't even have 50 regular season games, and then it's playoffs where you get to earn those extra games. And not everybody plays them. But there's leagues that, when I was in Denmark, they had a Challenge Cup type thing where it's an in-season tournament where, instead of playing extra games to go for it, it was the regular season. At the end of the 16 first regular season, the top four teams were put into a weekend tournament, and that was like the Challenge Cup there, where it's still an in-season tournament, but it doesn't add extra games unless, if you're one of the top four teams, then it adds 2 games for you. Where at the end of the day,
The
two games is
national do the same. So the
yeah.
national league
So
below you, that's what they do. The first home and away fixture sets you up in like the Challenger Cup, and then one plays four, two plays three, however they do
yeah,
it. And that's I think it's a little bit more because I think it's like a double header semi-final, double header final. So you play
yeah,
four extra games, but you're not playing fucking 14 extra games. Like,
yeah. That's the thing, right? And like, I get it too, because so many teams in this league are dependent on people in the
money.
seats, right? And you have to have asses in the seats to pay your players, because not everybody's a Sheffield or a Belfast or a Cardiff or a Nottingham, where you sell out just about every game, right? So it's the teams that are a little bit lower that need the extra games to be able to pay their players. So I understand the business part of it like that, but I just feel like there's some way to cut that down, to, having, if you go all the way, maybe you play 65 games or something like that. And just a small difference like that could definitely make this league more attractive. But the Friday and Sunday games are it just, I don't see how that doesn't make sense. Like you said, the football on Saturdays, the like Friday night games, have them at 7:30 instead, so people can get home from work, and that's the issue solved to me. I guess the only downside to that would be traveling fans, but at the same time, you have traveling fans on Wednesday games that make it out. So,
Yeah.
what's the
Right, so I've been seeing in the news recently a lot about inheritance tax and people getting screwed by the government. What can you guys do to stop that happening to people's well-earned money?
So any policy with us, we would suggest strongly that you put it in a trust. What that does is separates it from, ring fences it from any inheritance tax, so that anything you leave behind in a lump sum wouldn't be touched by the government. Lord knows they take enough of our money.
Yeah, they do it all our lives, and then they want to do it in death as well. Am I right in thinking not everybody can get life insurance? There is some sort of reasons where you can't.
Yeah, there are some conditions, some where you just can't be insured. Generally speaking, the best time to do it is when you're young and healthy. Now, you can't predict the future, obviously. However, if anything has changed in your situation, if you've had children, if you've moved house, if you've been promoted at work, it's very advisable to review your cover to make sure that you're covered for your new salary, your new mortgage, and everything that comes with it.
difference, right? But yeah, I definitely think it would be beneficial to play a handful of less games and Friday, Saturday schedule, because it would just raise the level of play and it would make the league that much better and help grow the sport here even more.
It works in Germany, doesn't it? And they're a big football nation, so I don't see why it wouldn't work. Works everywhere else, in all fairness.
Yeah, that's every league I've been in is Friday, Sunday. I've never played in a league that's back-to-back games, and I've played in 6 different leagues over here.
Here's another little tidbit for you because it's just popped into my brain. Going back to our two-way conversation. Well, the National League is always going to be Saturday, Sunday. So if you then do have young fucking guys on two ways, they're at least going to get the Friday with a big club every week.
Yep.
Then they're not going to have to decide, do we go to the Steelers or we go to the Dogs? Because you go Steelers Friday, Dogs Saturday, Dogs Sunday. Like, if you're fucking 21, you can play 3 games a weekend. I'm sorry, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You boys will be all right. You're young, dumb, full of spunk. You're going to be absolutely good to go. Like, you can do 3 and 3. You're not going to play that much on the Friday for the big club anyway, but you're still then going to go and get your reps on the Saturday, on the Sunday. And when we talk about like improving the national team and getting more guys ready for the national team, this how you fucking do it, because this will entice more guys if we do start getting more like Steelers relationships. I'm just going to spitball here, but like Cardiff Devils, Swindon Wildcats, Nottingham Panthers, and Milton Keynes, whoever it is, whoever these situations want to end up being, and how they make it work. You could then get more guys on that Friday night game, and all of a sudden these guys are getting 20 games in the Elite League for the first 2 or 3 years, and then they're ready to go full time in the Elite League and make a difference. Not only that, when it is time to step up, because the argument always is the British boys that are working in the National League, playing in the National League, they make good money playing in the National League, and then they get a work salary on top. The Elite League can't match that initially. But if you've done like 3 years on a kind of an apprentice sort of scheme where you're up and down, by the time that 4th year comes, that big club is probably going to pay you a proper wage. And it'll be a wage that you can go, do you know what? I'm going to leave my work behind. I'm going to leave the part-time salary behind. This is enough for me now to go and have a fucking crack at being like a GB player, being a Robert Dowd, being a whoever, Robert Farmer over the years, Ben O'Connor, whoever you want to pick. But I think the Friday Sundays, it's got some legs, and I would at least like to see it get talked around the board table and see what the owners think. I would like to pick their brains on that and see how they feel, how the coaches feel, because like guys like Foxy, he's coached in Europe, he knows the fucking gig.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially coaches too. They're up until they're watching the game that we just played, and they're up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning cutting video for the next day, and what we did wrong and what we did right, and who we're playing, and what the team that just played. You play against Nottingham on Friday, and you're playing Cardiff the next day. You're watching what Cardiff did on Friday, clipping that game, put it together. You're watching your own game, what you did wrong, what you did right, and by that time they're in bed by 3, 4 in the morning, getting up at 7, 8 a.m. to get to practice. It's just, I think it takes a toll on everybody, and I think that it's no question in my mind that there would be a better product on the ice if it went to Friday, Sunday.
You're in your second season here. One thing that Nat also touched on, he touched on the standard of officiating within the Elite League. Do you feel that it's improved at all this year? Do you think it's something of a concern? Because, I mean, Scott Conway, before he went to Slovakia, he fucking sent the old smoke signals up and, he fucked off all the Scottish refs and then came back, which I imagine he's going to sit
Yeah.
a few 10-minute jobs. But like it's been something that spoke about a lot of times, and this isn't me getting on the refs case. I think they need more training, they need more finance, they need more professionalism, and that is something that's only kind of come from money. But in terms of like from the playing side, do you think it's an improvement? Do you think it's much the same?
I think you hit the hammer on the head there with just if there's more training, everybody benefits. Obviously, again, that's something that takes money, takes time. These refs work part time, and I can't imagine that they make the most money given the salaries and what kind of players make here and what teams make here. So whether they want to put that time in, I think they need a pay raise for that kind of thing. It's a fast game, and again, it's a game that is, if it's ingrained in you, it's easy to spot stuff, and if it's not, and if you're becoming a ref later on in your life, then maybe you might not notice as many things. And I think it's slowly getting better. I think they work hard, and I think they do their best, but there's always room for improvement for sure.
So what you said, you've been here a season and a half now. I wanted to ask, you've played everywhere and you get a good taste of the development around Europe, around the world. And how did you feel when you came to the UK? I know you were shocked by the standard of the Elite League, so I won't ask you about the standard of the Elite League. I think you made that clear how good it's getting. But I wanted to ask, what did you think about the British players? And was there a particular British player? I'm not going to say Sheffield because Dowdy is a beauty and you have some very good Brits, but who's like, as an opposition player, has really caught your eye?
Um, opposition Brit player, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few good ones. Critch is a hard worker in
Nice.
Manchester. You can never kind of take your eye off him because he might not seem to be doing much, and then bam bam, he's got two on you. Ben O'Connor's a very good defenseman. Work with his dad obviously in Sheffield, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Heard a lot of good things about Ben. Uh, I guess he didn't have the greatest leaving from Sheffield, which I don't really know too much about, but it is what it is, I guess. People got to move on. And then Whistle, Brandon's brother, he's
Yeah.
the goalie in Belfast. He's had a number a couple times this year where he's put up some big games this year and last year against us. So there's definitely talent out there. And obviously like I said, it's a growing sport. And Kirky, like he skated with us. Was it? I think it was last. It was either last year or this year at the beginning of the year. I think it was last year at the beginning of the year, where I guess he had just canceled or voided his contract with Arizona back in North America and was kind of looking
Yeah.
for a place to play. And when I skated with him, I was like, it was kind of at the point where it was like the first week we were there, and I wasn't really sure who's on our team, like, is this a place where like there's guys who are trying out for the team, who's going where. And I remember looking at him and being like, all right, this guy's going to be our best player for sure. And then I heard
I
that
think he's
he's
gonna.
like,
I think he's gonna make it. I think he'll be okay.
yeah, I think he's gonna be a good player. And then I heard that he was like, then once I, day 3 or 4 came around, I started like catching on who was who and where people were going and who was actually there. I was like, okay. Oh, you're going to play in the Czech League. Oh, you're going to play. You have KHL offers. Oh, you have Swiss League offers. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, yeah.
You touched on a couple of Brits. I was listening. I just had to go pee. Sorry. What about Josh Waller? Obviously, he's a forward. You're a D man. You must come up, battle against him down against Guildford a few times. What do you make of Josh?
Honestly, I've heard a lot about him, but with his injuries that he had last year, and I think he's missed a couple of games against us this year. I think I've only played him like twice,
Oh,
but
okay.
like he's definitely got a lot of speed. He's got talent, but he's not really somebody that I've played that much against, so I can't really say, I guess.
You said before, like, and it made me think back then, and I've just thought about it when I was downstairs. Like maybe eventually you move to a club somewhere, some town, anywhere, somewhere nice. I was stood with Matt Myers, former GB stalwart Cardiff Devils assistant coach, on Saturday at the Continental Cup, and I was chatting. I was like, "So how did you find living in Morzine for the last year?" He was like, "What? It was fucking class, man. We played like one game a weekend. I went
Yeah,
skiing every." He was like, "I went skiing
yeah,
every
like
week. We ate
yeah,
great food, drank great wine." I was like, "Yeah, man. When you're on the twilight, why not? Like that sounds
yeah.
like a fucking dream."
Yeah, there's a league in Austria that's got a couple of amazing ski towns where it's the same thing. You practice like
Yeah.
twice a week. You have like 1 or 2 games a week, and you make 25 grand, but whatever. And then there's leagues in like Spain. I got offered I got offered. There's like a league in Australia too that
Yep.
is definitely like a retirement league for me. Where like I got the contract offer, and the contract offer, like, it's you would play because it's in the summer for us, but it's winter there. So it'd be like finish the season
Yep.
here and go straight there basically, or go home for a couple of weeks and go to Australia. But like my contract offer was like, it was hilarious. Like, it was,
There's no money, right?
yeah, it was like $10,000
Yeah.
or 10,000 whatever they have there, dollars, or I don't even know what kind of currency they have there, but 10,000 kangaroos. And
It's
yeah, like
unreal.
they say that they hook you up with like an easy part-time job, like you'd be a bartender at like a beach resort or something like that. And then in the contract too was I had two, I think, one 4-day cruise and one 7-day cruise, all expenses paid. And they were like in the middle of the season. They're just like, yeah,
Yeah, fuck it. Take the week off.
you'll just miss a couple, you'll just miss a game here, you'll miss 2 games there. I was like, fuck, all right, like, but yeah, there's cool places there, like everywhere, that kind of, once you get down to it, and it's obviously really cool being able to play hockey. And well, I almost feel like I haven't worked a day in my life. There's definitely a couple days where you're just like, playing with a broken bone or a dislocated shoulder or something like that, where you feel like you might be working a little bit. But being fortunate enough to be able to um, play hockey for my whole life, and I grew up from the time I was 4 years old. I want to be a hockey player. I want to be a hockey player. I want to be a hockey player. And then just being able to be fortunate enough through injuries and family having some money and being able to afford not only money but time to put me through it. And then being able to see the world. I think one of the cool stats that I have is that I've scored a goal in 11 different countries professionally. So it's like, that's one thing that
That's
I think
awesome.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just being able to say that I've lived in, oh, I think I've lived in 8 different countries. So being able to say that you lived in 8 different countries just playing hockey, and seeing the world, like, it's, sometimes you take it for granted, where we're complaining about, I'm playing too many games and blah, blah, blah. But, the culture that you get, the experience that you get, the friends that you meet, in all different kinds of the world, and being able to kind of use that network later on in life to, have friends to stay with in different countries if you ever go there and just check up with them. And it's not like anything else really. And it's just so cool. And we're so fortunate to be able to do what we do.
Beats the shit out of sitting in an office 9 to 5, right?
No kidding. No kidding.
We've kind of glossed over the Champions League at stages through this podcast, but I want to give it what it actually deserves, and that's a few minutes of our time. You played against some fucking big dogs in that tournament, and like we were talking about Greener's stats there, you pick up 4 wins. Was there any favorite wins, and what was the kind of lead up like? What was Foxy talking to you guys? Obviously, initially, I imagine you boys are going in with the thought like we can nick a couple here, but when you're like playing Pardubice and Sparta Prague and all that, what are those team talks like? What's he saying to the fellas to G 'em up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he really needed to say much in those games. Like we knew we were the underdogs in every single game we played. Like I remember, like we had like our group chat from last year that obviously so many guys that are brought back this year. When we saw our draw in the Champions League, we were all like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, I think we got like the first, the third, the fourth, the sixth, and the seventh ranked best teams or something like that. Like
Yeah, it's a
coming
joke.
into the league, like it was insane. Like I think three of the final four teams were teams that we played. Two of them we beat. Like so when we saw that, we were just like we joked around a lot about just laughing at ourselves, like okay, let's try to score a goal tonight, boys. Try to score a goal. But I think at the same time,
It's really trying to win this
it
one.
was yeah, like we like it's. I think. I mean, I'm not as well educated in football as I am in hockey, but I think like obviously the difference between a Sidney Crosby and a Robert Dowd is huge, but
Yeah.
in the NHL the difference between a fourth line guy and a top line guy in these leagues are like they're definitely there, but it's a lot of it has to do with this guy. Like we all got opportunities to be a professional hockey player in North America. We like most of us went to NHL camps. We all got that opportunity. Those fourth line guys got that opportunity and fucking ran with it, right? Like they did well. They stepped up to the plate when they needed to step up to the plate in front of the right guys, and they earned their contracts. Not to say that other guys didn't earn contracts too. We all know that there's some politics in everything you play. I'm not here to say that I should be in the NHL or whatnot, but there are guys that I look at that are in the NHL that I'm just like, man, like I don't think he's that much better than me, or I don't think this guy's that much better than this guy on our team, kind of thing. And I think a lot of us played in the Champions League with a chip on our shoulder, kind of thing, where we're looking at the Skellefteå or one of the Swiss teams and thinking, all right, these guys have literally like two guys on their team make our entire team's budget, kind of thing.
Yep.
And we just wanted to kind of shove it down their throat and be like, you're not that much better than us. And that was kind of the mindset that we went into. It's not that big of a difference in hockey. And I think I'm probably right in saying it's not that big of a difference in football too, where you can see teams get a run. And there's also I'm not blind to the fact that we also probably had teams that came playing against us and said, nah, these guys we're just going to kill them, and came and not, worked as hard as they probably should have. But yeah, I think we all kind of play with a chip on our shoulder, thinking that I could be on your team. Like you're not that much better than me. Like it's like fuck you, man. Like I could play on your team.
Well,
You
for
also
those
came out all guns.
sorry,
You also
Mark,
came out all guns season, and yeah, sorry, I'll jump in and edit that bit out. Yeah, you also came out all guns blazing. I noticed in those. I think like the first 2 or 3 games, I think you'd scored like 2 or 3 goals in like the first 3 minutes. You didn't give those teams the chance to sort of breathe.
Yeah, we wanted to attack first. I think we settled into roles a lot more in that game where, like everybody just kind of did what they did best at their best. Um, like I wasn't even really like too focused on getting points. I was more just like, I'm not going to let any of these fuckers near the net. I think I'm still leading the Champions League in hits. Like
Yeah.
I would have
after
thought
the thing,
so.
I was just fucking, and like I don't know how they judge hits, but I mean, I think I had 20 hits in that Skellefteå game. It said I had like 6 or 7, which I guess is big for a hockey stat, but I think I was robbed about twice the amount, kind of thing. Like I was just going out there and just I was just like a bull in a china shop, man. Like just trying to kill everybody and just be like, you know what, if you're gonna beat me, you're gonna feel me tomorrow. Like, I think everybody had that mindset with how they play and how they play at their best. Like Balmus scoring goals, Waddy scoring goals, Levin scoring goals, Screener standing on his head. Just like guys that do their best, playing their best.
You had a few guys on 5 points. Ladies and gents, if you're not familiar with the run that the Steelers had, they kicked off game day one against Fribourg and a narrow 4-3 defeat on the road. They then took on the mighty Avaxo Lakers, coming away in game day two with the 3-2 overtime victory. They then hosted the massive club of Sparta Prague and absolutely put a shit kicking on them 5-1. Um, Game day four, Skellefteå AIG came into town and it was another 3-2 victory for the Sheffield Steelers. Game day five on the road to the finalists, Zurich Lions. They lost a very narrow shootout defeat 2-1. They then played another absolute juggernaut of European hockey, Dynamo Pardubice, and that was a 3-2 victory for the Steelers in a shootout. So when you look through the Steelers run there, they have Vaxo Lakers, Sparta Prague,
Massive teams.
Galifta, and Dynamo Pardubice. Kev, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend. I would have said you're going to win a grand total of fuck all of those games before you
Yep.
boys played them. Absolutely zero. Like,
Yeah.
like hats off. Like, absolutely ridiculous stat from a team. And it's not like we had a team do it last year and a team do it the year before and a team do it. This is brand fucking new. Like, nobody's done
Yeah, this
this
is the
from
best
the
anyone's
UK.
done.
You boys just went in and on the road against Vaxter. Like, that's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable result for the. We talk about growing the elite league. That will grow the elite league. There's no way anybody else in Europe thought that you boys are going in to Sweden. You're going to go into playback. So I went and watched them earlier this year against Gothenburg. It's a legit hockey team. Like some
Yeah.
seriously talented boys on that team, and you boys turn them over. And then the last two fixtures, as everyone knows, you boys, you took on, and it was always going to happen the way you are obviously going to end up playing against Liam Kirk, weren't you? And
Yeah.
Berlin, and you lost the first game 5-3. Second game you lost 4-2. You had to kind of go for it a bit in the second game. It maybe opened you up a little bit for some opportunities going Berlin's way, but I watched both games. I thought you guys competed very well. Like I thought you
Yeah.
put a good shift in, and you can tell they got a bigger budget than you. Like
They
you
just
can tell
have
just by
their
watching.
decor. Their decor was insane.
Stunts.
They just like no one on their decor is like I would have been like the third biggest guy on their decor. Like it was they were just a big mean decor that didn't let forwards near the net at all. It was just got the shit kicked out of you anytime you went near their net. And yeah, they're just a good team. I mean, I think they have. It's fine. Like we would always like look at the NHL experience on teams that we played, and I think like the least amount of NHL experience that a team had was like 250 games. We'd be like, oh, we're playing against a team like the Swiss team that we beat or that we lost to in a shootout, the last
Zurich.
regular season. Yeah, Zurich. I think they had like over 2,000 NHL games experience with a coach that's
Yeah.
won the Stanley Cup. Like we're
Yeah,
just like,
that's
hey, we're just try to beat these guys, try to beat these guys. Like that was fun.
well. Obviously, you touched on playing Zurich. They've gone all the way. They're in the final. You guys only lost to them in a shootout. So when you talk about competing with these teams and they're not that much better than us. That the results you guys had kind of proved it. This year, I think you've put the Elite League on the map massively.
Thanks, man. It's fun. That's another part of the game that you don't really realize. I think when you're playing it, you might look back on it and see kind of thing that this did have some big steps for the Elite League and growing the game in this country. You like to do whatever you do. I think it's important to leave it in a better state than where you found it. And if we help the Elite League do that a little bit, then right on.
I think it's the first time as well in British hockey that I've seen everyone's fans come together and actually congratulate the Steelers on their performances.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It didn't last for long. You were back
Yeah,
to being
it was
cocksuckers. Back to being
maybe a quick,
cocksuckers on the Monday,
yeah,
but
maybe a
like,
quick good job, but yeah,
yeah, like well
yeah,
done, but fuck you. Um,
yeah.
it
Wouldn't
was.
have
Like,
it.
I see it on
Wouldn't
our
have it
Twitter.
any other way, though. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Um, Obviously you have played elsewhere, but I think British fans are maybe cut a little bit differently. Have you ever seen like the Twitter shit that goes on in different countries, or is the UK right up there with like
I
the
mean,
maddest fans on Twitter?
again, it's tough because of language barrier, right? So like,
Right, yeah.
I can't really read other tweets. It's not on my algorithm, but I'm definitely aware of the Twitter here. There's definitely times where the app gets deleted from my phone for a couple of weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we practice the same methodology here.
Yeah.
It gets a bit toxic, and don't get me wrong, these guys and girls are diehards. I get it. You want your team to win, but sometimes they make profiles of Robert Bryan Dowd and like start
Yeah.
going like
And
they
it's also,
start getting into your shit. Like but it does. Like the hockey fans over here can get a little bit wild. But you've got to experience many sellouts at the Sheffield Arena there, 9,000 plus in there sometimes. What's that like for a home night and getting the boys going?
yeah, it's great whenever you play in front of a big rink like that. That's kind of why you play, right? You want to play in front of a lot of people. You want to feel like what you're doing matters. You want to feel like you're providing entertainment for people, and definitely feel that here. In big games when the crowd gets really loud, it's really special to be there. Like any of the the Challenge Cup finals last year, or like elimination games last year, or big games against big teams this year. Been a lot of fun. Like the Champions League games when it was loud as hell in there. Those are the times where it's really cool to play in front of that amount of people.
You touched on the Challenge Cup. Obviously, you boys are going to be taking on the Cardiff Devils. One thing that is coming to like a bit of question is obviously Belfast, they always end up with the easier group, meaning they're always going to be the top seed. Then they get to pick the semi-finalists. I kind of like the fact that you got to pick. It puts a bit of a fuck you on the game. Like if you're Nottingham right now, you want to shove it so far up Belfast's hoop. It's unbelievable. Like you do. But also, if they're gonna have a easier way, maybe they change it a little bit, and Belfast don't necessarily get that pick. I don't know how they would do it,
I think
but
the only way to do it would be to do to make it like fair for everybody. You just do after the first 15 regular season games or something, like
just do it that
maybe
way.
the top like 6 teams or top 8 teams make it into a playoff kind of thing. So more teams are
Okay, yeah,
included, but
like
but
that.
like yeah, it's tough because yeah, their division is just it is what it is.
It's not. It's
But
just not as strong. Like it
yeah,
really isn't.
exactly. I mean, like I said, it is what it is. But I understand that again, it always comes back to money, man. There's more travel, there's hotels, there's plane rides instead of bus rides, there's all that stuff, which makes it tough to make it an even playing ground, and not to mention that there's just an odd number of teams in the league, so that on top of it makes it tough to do. So yeah, I mean, maybe it gets figured out. Maybe they change it again next year, and it's a different way, and it's not better, or maybe it's way better. Who knows?
What it does offer up though it does offer up a very, very juicy Sheffield Steelers, Cardiff Devils semi-final. Like for me as a neutral, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
that'll
the
be a
games we
battle.
want to be That's the games we want to be watching. Like
Yeah, those will definitely be some battles. They've had our number the last couple of times we've played them. We've been banged up a little bit. They were banged up a little bit for a while there too, and now I think we're both sitting pretty healthy, so it should be guns a-blazing.
what have you made of Josh McDonald from the Devils this year?
Good player, good player,
Stud.
dynamic. Yeah, he's definitely a good hockey player.
The guy's mitts are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a shifty fella for sure.
Um, and then the other semi-final sees Belfast versus Nottingham. So I think if you're the Elite League, the kind of the so-called Big Four are in the last four. So what we should see is two very good semi-finals and a very good final, no matter which teams go through. I think for the league, again, we want big games for the final, and I think no matter which of the four teams go through to the final, the league are going to be in a good position to have a good product on the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely worked out that way this year. It's yeah, like you said, the four big names in the league are there.
Obviously, it's nice to see Nottingham bounce back this year. They had a rough year last year, but this year they're right in the mix. They're third in the league. They're in the Challenge Cup semi-finals. Danny Stewart's come in. He's put his own spin on things there, and I think a good Nottingham and a good Sheffield is good for the league.
Yeah, it's funny because we a couple of us are all the Innsbruck guys. So me, Champini, and Saucerman played with their captain there
Right.
in Innsbruck. So we joke a lot. Like we're all good buddies, but we always joke. He's like me, where um, we're good friends. We'll text, we'll chat. We'll keep in touch. But once that puck drops, it's like for 60 minutes, it's like we're not friends anymore. Like I've asked him to fight twice this year. Like just like he's like, "You want to fight me?" I'm like, I
Yeah, I
will."
will.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I will.
exactly. So it's fun, and like we always joke, like if we get together for like dinner or something on like an off night, we're like, all right, we can't be seen in Sheffield with you, and then it's like I can't be seen in Nottingham with you. So we're like, all right, we have to find somewhere like halfway kind of thing. But yeah, he's an extremely good leader. He's one of the best captains I've ever played for. Just a nice, humble guy. Works his bag off, really talented, and I think he helps bring that Nottingham team to a whole different level for sure.
Mark, do you want to take the lead in the next one?
Yeah, I just want to give a plug on your hoodie there because that looks awesome. It
Mhm.
wasn't at the beginning, but I think you should. Where can we find these hoodies?
Yeah, so these are on the Steelers website. It was sort of a thing that back in the day, when I was in college, there used to be a thing where I'd make a big hit, and we had like this bell in our college, like this big church bell, and it would always go off whenever I made a big hit. Like it would just be like dong, dong, dong. And then there was a few people in the pep band that had like big Hulk gloves, like giant Hulk gloves, and they would always like smash them together, and they would just Tansey Smash, Tansey Smash, and it's kind of always stuck with me a little bit. And then after playing here last year, saw the craziness of the fans here, and how much they get behind you. And then with me doing my MBA this year and kind of getting my toes wet in business again, after the CBD thing is finished. So wanted to kind of do another venture. So kind of got the idea to get a logo and do some branded apparel. So right now we have hoodies, we have jerseys, which are really cool. We've got t-shirts, we've got pucks, we've got mugs, we've got hats, we've got basketball, like little basketball hoops. Um, and you can find them all either at a Sheffield game or on the Steelers website in the shopping area. And then kind of expanding a little bit too. Um, I want to kind of make this as much of a thing as I can while I'm still playing and have a brand and likeness, and kind of try to see how much legs it has. It's kind of like an experiment for me though. So I actually had a call with Danelaw Coffee today. It's like a roastery in it's near Sheffield. I can't remember exactly the town it's called, but we're kind of branching out and going to be doing a coffee
That's cool.
together. So we're going to have like a Tansey Smash coffee, and I've got a couple other little things in the works that are just kind of industries that I'm interested in and kind of want to learn more. And I feel like, being in Sheffield and like spade a spade of what it is being like a local celebrity here. Um, just, being able to use that and see how I can learn from business while doing this and, making a little bit of money on the side. And then at the same time, being able to give back to charity too, right? Like I've been
Yeah,
doing
awesome.
raffles all year for with pictures, and I'll be tossing in some shirts and some hoodies coming up here for a couple more raffles, and just kind of giving back and helping the city that's been so inviting to me with open arms. Really falling in love with Sheffield, so it's nice to have something to offer to people, and then some way to be able to give back as well.
You
Fair
you
play to
said
you.
there about the raffles. I saw on your Twitter. I think it's currently a signed photo that's up for raffle. Where can people get tickets? How can they go about it?
Yeah, so that actually was just one.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it just finished today. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have I'm looking over here right now. Because we got Matrix Framing, who's a local guy here.
Yeah, good guy.
Really really nice guy. They sent me because we got stuff framed last year at the end of the year and got it sent home and stuff just from the jerseys and pictures with the trophies. Um, and he sent me like 40 extra prints, and he's like, give them to the family if you want. I was like, I appreciate it, man. I don't have 40 people who want a picture of me with a trophy in their house. Like, it's
Yeah, who the
awesome.
fuck
Like,
wants that?
I
Yeah.
don't have that many friends. So I gave some to my parents, gave some to my mom, my dad, my brother, and a couple of friends, and then I brought the prints back with me this year. I said, hey, how about this? Like, I'll just do, a charity thing once every like couple of weeks, and I'll pay for these to get framed. And he just looked at me and goes, mate, if they're for charity, I'll just do them for you. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's
legends.
awesome, right? So just a really really good guy who helps us out there. So yeah, I'm gonna have another one coming out here soon. I've got another dog pound that there's a picture of me and Greener um, with our partners and the trophies that'll be going off for auction soon. And then I've got a few other things that I'll probably throw in there with some other things. I think I've got 4 framed pictures left, maybe 5. So definitely got some left. They'll be on my social media page. If you guys want to retweet them when you see them, that'd be appreciated.
No problem.
Yeah, I gotta, yeah, I'll be doing some more work in the next couple months for sure. I gotta get rid of these frames somehow, right?
If you need a taste tester for your coffee, I drink my fucking body weight in coffee per day. So I'm a pretty
Yeah,
good judge
sensible.
on.
Yeah, oh man, I
I'm a
love
pretty good
coffee.
judge on coffee.
Sounds
Um,
good. Yeah, I love
I like
coffee.
that
Like
idea,
that's
man.
thanks. Yeah, I like coffee. I mean, my plan right now is I want to go coffee, kind of like smash your mornings, and then I want to go. I'm looking into some cheese places in town. Big fan of cheese.
Same.
And then potentially like a smash burger. This
Yeah.
is this is sort of like I like to cook. I'm by no means like a chef or anything, but I'm a pretty good cook for someone who's self-taught. Um, and I think like down the line, it might be like a burger joint kind of thing that I might want to open up in like a hockey school, just kind of see how long it lasts and what the returns are, and yeah, go from there.
That's awesome. Mark, do you have anything else for Kevin before we let him go?
No, I want a burger now and a coffee.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Well, Kevin, best of luck the rest of the way here in the season, and you've already touched on there. You're back for year three next year, so we might as well make it a hat trick at some point next year and get you back on the show, and we'll catch up once again.
Sounds good to
Love
me,
it, thank
mate.
you.
Yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been Mr. Kevin Tansey. Check out his social media. Check out Tansey Smash. You'll be able to find hoodies on the Sheffield website, plus all the other merch. We will see you for another episode, in fact, with one of his teammates tomorrow. So check back then, and we will see you folks for another episode. Peace.
Peace.